The next session of what happened with the Gwinn Schools was in the mid-1950s when the Air Force decided they were going to place an Air Force Base at the site of the Marquette County Airport just near Gwinn. That, of course, brought a whole lot of questions because, as we stated in the first section, we only had the one building at that time, which was fine for the population we had. But Sawyer was eventually going to end up being the third largest community in terms of population in the UP. And all of the adult population was of childbearing age, so you can do the math and figure that there was going to be a whole lot of kids coming into that school district, and we did not have the facilities here to handle that. So what was going to happen? The school district met with their legislative partners, both at federal and state level. They met with advisors from the University of Michigan who were going to give them suggestions on what was going to be required for educational needs. And as far as funding was concerned, again, they had to work through the legislative partners to find it, but the funding for it was made through the federal government, but it wasn't through the Defense Department or the Air Force. A lot of people thought that was the case. It was actually through the Housing and Urban, through the Department of the Housing and Urban Development, HUD, which managed impact aids for federal sites in the country. It could be military installations, it could be Indian reservations, and so on. So a whole lot of planning, a whole lot of building went into play in a hurry. In fact, the base was moving faster and the people were coming in faster than what the schools could be built. So until the buildings were completed, the school operated for several years on split shifts up until 1963-64, which was when the high school opened up. But in a 10-year period, from the late 50s to the late 60s, the school district went from one school building to 5 buildings. They had 3 elementary schools, a middle school, and a high school. And that was all paid for by, local funds did not pay for that, it was paid for by HUD. That brings us into the late 60s, early 70s, and I'll just touch on this. At that point, the school district expanded a little bit more. They annexed the Sands Township School District and the Scandia West Branch School District. The Scandia district already had an elementary school in place, and so that became part of the school district as well. So at that juncture, we were looking at 4 elementaries, a middle school, and a high school that we were managing and running in this school district.